What's up, people? It's Vincent, and I am here to talk to the creative, their allies, and their adjacents. And I just hope that something I say in the next few moments helps you either know how to express yourself better as a creative or helps you better understand the mind of the creative and how it works. Because I can tell you, it's not straight lines. It's a bunch of zigzags and wigglies, and sometimes we don't know how to find our way out of the woods. Today, I want to talk about procrastination. Procrastination is one of those things that floats around the creative world, and I know everybody deals with it to some degree, but I know creatives deal with it to great degrees. Many degrees in which we talk to each other about. And there are a lot of myths about procrastination, especially in our spaces. One of the myths would be like procrastination means that you're just terrible at time management, or that procrastination means that you like to delay decision making. Neither of those things are true. The more you dig in, the more you read, the more you watch, the more you embrace about how creatives process either assignments that others have assigned to them or self-assignments, you realize that sometimes procrastination is just what the doctor ordered. Sometimes projects are waiting on a creative to slow down enough to have a new idea. I used to be a graphic designer. I don't do much graphic design anymore, but I remember I knock them out, day in, day out, flyers for parties. That was my first side hustle when I was in undergrad. I was the guy that made the party flyers, especially for the Divine Nine, all of the historically Black Greek organizations. I was that guy at UNT in Denton, popping them out, right? Didn't know my value, didn't know how to rate myself so I wouldn't get overburdened, and it led to burnout. But what would happen is I realized that most of my time was not in execution. Most of my time was in the ideation phase. And back then I didn't even know the word ideation. I didn't even know that people could get paid to ideate, to just think. And a lot of times, to the person outside looking in, that ideation phase looks like, yeah, you said it, procrastination. It's really hard to explain to somebody who is unfamiliar that just because I'm sitting watching TV, playing a video game, driving to the movies, or whatever, making dinner, my mind can be on 10 different projects at various times. There's arguments that you can't think about two things at the same time. But in a nanosecond, I can flip from one project to the other, and I can shuffle through these projects. And I'm sure that many of you can too. That many of you can be sitting thinking about an orchestral composition or a score, and then you can go into thinking about an R&B lick that you need to put down in the studio for a client. You can go from thinking about one landscape that you wanted to photograph to thinking about how you want to make a portrait of another client that's coming up. There's not this one streamlined way of thinking through these elements, thinking through these ideas. And a lot of times we have deadlines imposed on us, or we set deadlines for ourselves, and it becomes this race against time where we have to meet the deadline. And I'd argue that most creativity is not deadline driven. Most creativity is resource driven. It's how much do you have to play with? And sure, we can argue, Vincent, resources, time is a resource. But I'll argue that the best things that are created are those created outside the pressure of time. And usually they're created with the pressure of people and money. As I'm saying that, I'm arguing with myself to just make sure I stand by that argument. Yep, time is not what makes me move as a creative. What makes me move is the idea itself and figuring out how to execute it. Now, how long that takes to figure that out and how long it takes to actually implement the execution are two different timelines. I remember I had a boss that used to say this phrase, and I don't know if he made it up himself or if he got it from someone else, so I won't quote him with it. But a former boss of mine used to say, weight broke the bridge. And not WEIGHT, like physical weight, but WAIT, like time weight. And I get that to a degree. Like, what are you waiting on? What's holding you back? What's slowing you down? It's not the idea of, oh my gosh, there's pressure to get it done. You want to get it right. And I'd argue that procrastination is not a terrible job of mismanaging time or a terrible job of making a decision, but more so for me and creatives I know, it's a fear of missing the mark. It's a fear of missing the mark. It's that desire within us that aims for perfection. And that is the curse. It's not procrastination itself. It's the crippling thing that holds your heart back from saying, there's a million ways to die in the West, and I have to choose the most prolific one because that's the perfect route for me. And that's that hesitation, that pressure that we give ourselves. That's what makes it take time. It's not, oh yeah, let me just flip this graphic design around. Let me just knock this website out. Let me just knock this music video out. Let me just get this short film pushed out. There is a blessing in repetition. You know, you do it enough over and over. Like even me doing this YouTube thing, you do it over and over. I've built a workflow. I can pop this into DaVinci. I'm gonna make a proxy. I'm gonna put both of them on my hard drive, and I'm gonna go edit on the proxy for a couple hours, and I'm gonna come back and reattach it to the actual file and color from there. You know, the repetition blesses you by giving you an ability to build the muscle. But there's also this desire to want to nail it, to want to do it right. It's not just Kobe throwing free throws without caring. It's throwing free throws and watching footage back and analyzing the stats to get better. And so when you're approached with a project you've been approached with before, it's easy to knock that out with no thought. It's easy to just, oh yeah, here we go. We're gonna approach it like this, and I'm gonna sketch this out, or I'm gonna, here's how pre-production looks, or here's how the stems are gonna be laid out, and then we're just gonna bring so-and-so into the studio and we'll stack vocals or whatever, like whatever your world works like. There's joy in that. Like, oh, I can do this in my sleep. But then when the standard is raised, whether that's a client raising the standard for you or you raising the standard for yourself, you have to change your approach. A friend of mine, he got on the phone with me and he was like, bro, edit your feature film yourself. I did mine in DaVinci Resolve. Throw it into DaVinci, and just work from there. If Premiere's giving you trouble with handling the files, then throw it into DaVinci. And I'm like, oh, I only use DaVinci Resolve to color. I don't go into DaVinci to do NLE, I don't go in there just to edit. And he's like, but the capabilities have improved. It's there. And I'm like, man. And he said, bro, I won't tell you what he said, but in more or less words, he said, you're trying to cop out. And he said, you're trying to cop out. You're making excuses. Just do it. And literally, it took me a moment to move all the way into it. It took me some weeks to wrap my mind around it. I had to watch a few YouTube videos. I had to get on the phone with a few other people and talk to them about their experiences. While there was no action made for 4.5, 5 weeks, in my mind, I was preparing myself to delve into a new space that I'm unfamiliar with. And in that same manner, you get to take the time to figure it out. And I'm not here saying, oh, if it's your ways of means of living, then miss deadlines or anything like that. I am here to say alleviate the pressure to feel like the procrastination is the curse. The procrastination is not the curse. Genius comes from rest, from laying down, from taking days off, from spending time with friends. If I didn't pick up the phone to call my friend just to shoot the breeze, I wouldn't have been impressed enough to move to DaVinci and drop Premiere after 12 years of use. Now, Adobe, if you would like to sponsor this channel, I will go back to solely being a Premiere Pro user. I'll put up tutorials and everything. DaVinci, if you also would like to make a proposition, I will become a pro and I'll put up tutorials. No, but in all seriousness, I made the move, and that felt like procrastination, and it felt bad for a moment. And then I realized it's not my time management. I was sitting in front of the computer. I was where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there. It's not my decision making. I made the decision, right? I want to figure out how to execute well. Now, if you were watching this video for a solution to how to not feel like you're procrastinating, I don't have that for you, at least not in this one. Check back in a few months. I am here to liberate you and let you know you're not the only one that deals with it. You'll be fine. Perfection is the curse. Divorce yourself from perfection and accept that done is better than perfect. And that's what's freed me. Not to stop procrastinating, but to think less on the projects that matter less, and to invest my time and my worry and my frustration and my guilt on those projects that are matters of the heart. Man, I really hope you got something out of that. If you were inspired or encouraged at all, please consider subscribing and liking and sharing it with somebody. Leave a comment. I really appreciate the comments that I got after last week's video about depression and insecurity. If you haven't seen that one, I'll link it right here for you to go back and check it out. And if you did and you felt something and you didn't say it, let me know. I got a lot of text messages and phone calls, and it brought me to tears multiple times. I'm grateful that this thing is doing something beyond just me sitting here talking. Anyway, I'm a little afraid to edit this project, this video, because I've seen the sunlight change 4 times while I've been talking. And even now, a cloud is passing and you see the exposure of the wall dropping down. I wonder if I'll just slap one LUT on here and y'all won't care, or if I'm about to cut into places and crossfade LUTs. I'm recording this yesterday, less than 24 hours from posting it. So I've got to make my mind up quick. The irony, a procrastination video that is rushed. I'm out of here. I'll see y'all next week. God bless you. I love y'all for real.